Well, listen, it's game week. We finally made it to the college football playoffs. We waited a while for this. After all the mock brackets and everything that's been going on, we finally made it to game week. And it took a while to get here. Listen, last week felt like a little bit of a while ago, right? I don't even know if that makes sense, but we're going to go with it. But now we're here. We're here to talk some ball. We're here to talk college football playoffs, right? And I'm excited to kind of talk to you about these games, break down these games, really dive into how these games may play out. So, locker room, you know how this works. Drop a comment, Athletes Forum Podcast. All right, we're going to get this thing going. But first, before we get into this week's college football playoff games, I want to give a shout out to College Football Crew, formerly part of college football season, but the boys over there at College Football Crew, Chris, Sean, Adam, Austin, huge shout out, huge thank you. They were able to send me kind of a reward, a present, an early Christmas gift, right? A Fanatics gift card. I was able to get some Florida Gator merch, right, for supporting their podcast. So it's only right I give them a shout out. College Football Crew, definitely go follow them. I'll drop a link to their profile below. But let's talk about it, right? It's college football season. I'm adjusting my crooked mic, and let's kind of dive into what these games mean. I'll give you some predictions, and let's talk about this bracket a little bit, right? And what it looks like, right? We've definitely come a long way, right? To 14 playoffs to 12-team playoffs and what it looks like now, right? And obviously, despite what you may think, this is the slate of games we have, and we just got to dive about it. Now, college football playoffs, this is a different type of energy, right? First round games, they're really all about execution, not so much the hype when it comes to how teams are going to approach it, right? This isn't about resumes anymore. This isn't about are they built for the playoffs. This is playoff football, and it's do or die now, right? Now, what these games are going to look like stylistically, we'll kind of dive into that, what experience and physicality. And, we know playoff ball comes down to the quarterbacks, run game, and defense. At the end of the day, listen, that's what it all comes down to, right? So I'll dive into who I got winning these games, and we'll talk about it, right? So we'll dive into that first game, that Friday night game. We're going to go to Norman. I've never been to Norman. I don't even know what it's like. I know there's some storms out there. You won't catch me chasing them, but we're going to go to Norman, Oklahoma for this rematch. Right? This Alabama versus Oklahoma game. Such an intriguing game, at least in my eyes, right? You think about an Alabama team, the way they started the season, losing to Florida State, able to bounce back, really gain some momentum, right? Beating Georgia, right? Having some good quality wins. But late in the season, didn't really finish too well, right? Didn't really finish strong, right? That includes a loss to the team that they're going to play this Friday in Oklahoma, right? So really what happened with Alabama, right? Ty Simpson, not really himself, finished the season with over 3,200 passing yards, 26-5 when it comes to the TD interception combo, right? Jam Miller, right? This is a team that really has not had a run game, right? And again, playoff ball, defense and run the ball, right? Who do you trust more in regards to defense? Who do you trust more in running the ball? I don't really trust either of these teams when it comes to that, right? And so what's this Alabama team going to look like? I know they're getting a lot of guys back that are healthy, right? Are they able to bounce back? If they lose, what does this mean to Kalen DeBoer? We already know the rumors, right? We already kind of heard what's been going through the grapevines for, Alabama fans and how they feel about Kalen DeBoer, right? Remember, he's replacing the GOAT. Expectations are high, right? So what's this going to mean for that program, this game? They're going against Oklahoma, a really good defensive team, right? A team that really hasn't run the ball well either, right? But they got John Mateer. But are we getting most recent John Mateer or pre-thumb injury John Mateer? My finger specialist is announcing my injury reports in Chipotle John Mateer, right? Are we getting the dog with his chip on the shoulder from Washington State John Mateer? Which John Mateer are we going to get? Because when you look at what happened in that first game, Alabama won the game on paper. Alabama won the game on paper, but it didn't translate to this game. Remember, a lot of turnovers really changed that outcome. Oklahoma didn't do anything offensively to kind of blow you away, in this game. So what's this game going to look like? When you think about a team like Alabama, it's the most playoff tested brand, maybe outside of Georgia and Ohio State, in this field. No, absolutely. You could say over the past decade, Alabama's the most playoff tested brand, at least on the field. They're comfortable, at least from a historic standpoint, playing in an ugly, physical, pressure-packed game, right? You could thank the GOAT Nick Saban for that, right? So what to expect from Alabama? First of all, let me say this. I think Alabama's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, ugly type of game, right? But I think Alabama's going to win this game. I think we're going to see a slow-tempo Alabama team. I think we're going to see a team that is field position battle and really going to control that aspect of it and forcing Oklahoma to play left-handed, right? They're going to force Oklahoma to play a style of game that they haven't played all season, right? They're going to make John Mateer beat them, right? And not just beat them with the legs, but beat them from the pop, beat Alabama from playing quarterback in the pocket. They're going to stop the run. They're going to force John Mateer to throw in tight windows to really throw this team to victory, something that he really hasn't done a lot of this second half of the season. So what's that going to look like? Right? Who's he going to get the ball to? Right? Because if John Mateer goes into this game and tries to put Oklahoma on his shoulders, I don't think it's going to pan well. I think Alabama's going to get him. I think the keys to victory in this game for Alabama is defensive line control, right? Ty Simpson has to play like he's the better quarterback. Not the Ty Simpson we know the past couple of weeks. He has to play like he's the better quarterback, and you got to win the middle eight, right? The end of the first half, the start of the second half, you have to win that middle eight, right? Bottom line, Alabama's not going for style points, right? They win by making you uncomfortable, right? Playing all four quarters, and most teams are going to blink first. I think Alabama wins this game, and we're looking at an Oklahoma team who really hasn't tasted what this playoffs look like, right? So what's that atmosphere going to be like? I'm going to tell you what, I'm excited to see what the atmosphere is going to look like in Oklahoma Friday night, but I'm going to say Alabama gets the win in this game, right? Gets the win and sets what we're going to look forward to for Saturday. And then as we really dive into Saturday, now we got some other good games to dive into. And I'm kind of disappointed. Why are they giving us the good games first? Like, why am I getting Alabama, Oklahoma as that appetizer? Then Alabama, Oklahoma as like that bread you get at the restaurant. Then Miami, Texas A&M as that appetizer, that type of appetizer you eat too much before getting to your dinner. And then they kind of gave us the not so exciting games, right? We'll dive into. But Miami, Texas A&M's a 12 o'clock slate on Saturday, right? Listen, that's going to be an interesting game, all right? And if you're asking me, a guy who is a Florida Gators fan, an SEC fan, I think Miami might pull the edge, right? I think they're a team that plays to their competition, right? I think Mario's going to play a big role in this game, right? Because we already know what Mario has been in those tight games. I think they're going to try to get back to a physical brand of ball, right? But I also think this is a Miami team who's been told over the past couple of weeks, should they be in the playoffs? Why they're in the playoffs? Yeah, you got to win over Notre Dame, but you lose to SMU. You lose to Louisville. Why should you be in the playoffs? Meanwhile, on the opposite side of the field, Texas A&M, Kyle Field is going to be rocking, but this is a team that really hasn't finished the season well. You saw how they played versus Texas. So what's the team going to look like, going into the game? Early kickoff, 11 o'clock kickoff, right? So in my opinion, I think the key to this game and who wins this game, I think Miami's going to win this game, but this is why. I think when you look at a Miami team and what they got to do, first of all, Carson Beck has to play better, right? We all know that. But Carson Beck's someone who has experience. Carson Beck is someone who's been in this position before. This is really not a big game for Carson Beck. And when you think about kind of big games for Carson Beck, he kind of plays better, right? You think about, early in the season how he played. It's really the lackluster teams that are kind of you could get trapped with that he doesn't play well against, but he plays good the competition, right? Malachi Tony, freshman All-American, 84 for 970 and 7 TDs in the type of season he's had, right? Fletcher Jr., right? 141 carries, 685 in the backfield and 10 touchdowns. This is a team offensively that could get the job done. And then you look on the defensive side and what this team is able to put together from a defensive line standpoint. I mean, my goodness. I mean, this is a front that is fierce, that is ferocious, that is gonna give Texas A&M some troubles, right? I think this is a defensive line that really could get after Marcel Reed, really could try to keep Marcel Reed in the pocket, really could dictate this game, right? Dictate this game in Kyle Field, right? Is a couple things that travel when it comes to playoffs. You think about defense, obviously. You think about a defensive line. You think about run game, right? And this is a team that has a run game, has a defensive line. So, yeah, this is a Miami team that could make damage, could do some damage, and I think could surprise some people, right? So let's talk about this. This is a physical roster that really looks the part of a playoff team, and I think I think Texas A&M really got a bad draw when it comes to playing Miami. To be honest with you, right? I think confidence matter, and Miami is a team that doesn't lack confidence, right? This is an aggressive defensive approach. Shout out to defensive coordinator coach Corey Heatherman, who did go to the University of Maine and coached up there. Shout out to my alma mater. But a willingness to challenge the receivers. That's where things to get interesting, because Casey Concepcion, you think about other brother's name, I forgot his name, but those guys are going to be crucial to how the Texas A&M offense really looks Saturday morning, right? And Miami's going up against a team that believes that they could get it done, but Miami also believes they could get it done, right? So for Miami, defensive front, they got to create chaos up front, right? They got to limit those explosive plays, and Carson Beck has to protect the ball. If they could do those things, I think Miami wins. And this is also a team that has SEC speed. And this is also a team that Texas A&M hasn't really faced a defensive line with this type of caliber, run by Jason Taylor, right? Baines is an animal. For Miami. I'm excited to see what this looks like. I think Miami takes this game, wins the game, and I think they dictate the tone in this game. I think they become the aggressor in this game, and I think they become a real college football national championship threat, right? And then if they win this game, I mean, they're going to play Ohio State, and I don't want to look too far ahead. That's not going to be an easy game for the Buckeyes. That's not going to be an easy game at all for the Buckeyes. So we'll see how that pans out as well. All right. Now we go to the next game, right? And maybe the one game that has a lot of questions, but maybe not be the most exciting I take that back. This game is a little bit more exciting than Oregon, but Tulane, Ole Miss. Hey, listen, as a Florida Gator fan, I'm rooting for Tulane. I feel like Florida Gators are in the playoffs because of our new head coach, John Summerall, right? Now, last time these two teams played, it wasn't a pretty outcome. Whatsoever. And they're going up against the Ole Miss team. Again, has a lot of distractions. Trinidad Chambliss took over for Austin Simmons, right? Over 3,000 passing yards, 18-3 touchdown to interception ratio, right? Kyron Lacey, over 1,200 on the ground, 20 touchdowns. I think that's going to be the difference maker in this game, all right? I think the Ole Miss run game, I think something that Lane really hasn't had much of since being at Ole Miss, is going to play dividends in the playoffs. Not just this game, in the playoffs, right? Because they have arguably one of the best running games out of all playoff teams that's in the field, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what this Ole Miss team looks like now under the new regime. Granted, Charlie Weiss Jr. is still the OC, so I expect the offense to still look competent, right? But ultimately, you lose the head guy in charge of Lane Kiffin. What's this team going to look like? Are they distracted? Are they even motivated to play a Tulane team that they routed early in the year? In the year. I'm excited to see how that pans out. Tulane, the team, they got to play defense. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And as a Florida Gator fan, I want to see, can they bounce back from the lackluster defensive performance that they gave Ole Miss earlier in the season? Because I need to know, Florida, if we're going to have if we're in good hands as far as our defense and the defensive scheme we want to run. But can Tulane bounce back? Even when they played North Texas, right? They gave up some points, right? They gave up some points in that game, and the game became a little closer than what it should be. How motivated are they to stop the run? How motivated are they to keep Trinidad Chambliss in the pocket and make him be a quarterback that can throw from the pocket? Not saying he hasn't been. The numbers speak for themselves, but that's what's going to give Tulane a chance in this game, right? You think about what this game means for Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss wins this game, right? It's an offense that is designed to exploit defensive weaknesses. It's always been like that with Lane Kiffin. Always. They're going to thrive in the shootout and apply pressure to Tulane. Now, can Tulane keep up? I don't think they can. I think if they can make it an ugly game, they could definitely cover with 17.5, right? So what does this game look like for Ole Miss, right? I think, again, if they're going to run the ball, it's going to be night-night. It's as easy as that. It's going to be night-night. Trinidad Chambliss, I'm sure he's going to get involved. Can this Tulane team prove that they're a team that's not just focused and put everything that just happened in the past, but a true national championship caliber team? Because you beat Tulane, you got a team that you're familiar with in Georgia, a team that's been playing well in Georgia, a team that you could beat. And if you could beat Georgia, now we're talking semis. Let's not get too far of ourselves. Ole Miss wins this game, right? Ole Miss wins this game. And then the last game on the slate, we go to Eugene. We go to James Madison. I played at UMaine. I played against James Madison. I know what that culture is about, right? You look at what Kursignetti did at James Madison before going to Indiana. This is a team that obviously has a respectable brand. Bob Chesney becoming a new head coach at UCLA. He's done a fabulous job there. You're going up against a monster. You're going up against potentially maybe the number one quarterback, top 2 quarterback next year's NFL draft. A team in Eugene, Oregon that is focused. A team that is very skilled. A team that is aggressive, physical, right? The only thing that concerns me about Oregon is Will Stein becoming coach at Kentucky. You lose your DC to become the head coach at Cal, even though they're still on staff coaching through the playoffs. They got a lot going on in Oregon. How are they able to right the ship and get things back on track? Thank God they had a week off last week. Well, technically, you could say 2 weeks if you're counting this game as a week off, right? I'm sorry, James Madison. Oregon is going to be dangerous in the first round. You think about speed and spacing and all the weapons that are coming back for Dante Moore. The stress that they're going to put on defense horizontally and vertically. Oregon plays playoff football at a different tempo that JMU has not seen all season, right? They strike quick, explosive plays, really put opponents in a chasing position. And I don't know if JMU has the weapons to at least keep up or at least stay above water or at least afloat, right? So I'm taking Oregon to win this game. I'll take them to cover, right? It's a high number. I'm not confident in that. I'm going to take them to cover. Bottom line is if Oregon gets up early, it's night-night in Eugene, right? And that's really how I think everything's going to play out in this game. So, you think about, the picks and where I'm going, right, and what's going to make a difference. Obviously, we know defense plays a part, right? That play a part in all my picks. Having a run game is going to play a part. Who's the better quarterback in most of these games, right? It's going to get ugly in some of these games, either low scoring or blowouts. I think the closest game we're looking at is Miami, Texas A&M, so we'll see how it pans out. But the college football playoff isn't about who looks good in October. It's about who can survive late December and January football, right? And I'm taking Alabama, Oregon, Ole Miss, all right, and Miami that are going to be built for the stage, the week 1 stage, right, to set the tone for college football, the college football playoffs, right? Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment, right? You know how this goes. Who do you think is going to win? What do you think about the players, the type of players that are going to be in the playoffs? What matchups are you excited to look for? If I bring up the schedule real quick, let me talk about the schedule. Or let me talk about the bracket. Indiana and Ohio State for the 1 and 2 seed got rough draws, right? Because they could easily get knocked out. We saw what happened last year with all the week one, all the top teams getting bye weeks. None of them won. Arizona State lost. Arizona State lost. Boise State lost. Oregon lost. Georgia lost. Indiana and Ohio State are going to get some rough matchups. Coincidentally, I think the best matchup to look forward to will be that Oregon-Texas Tech based on who I think is going to win. I think Texas Tech's a national championship sleeper, right? So listen, Locker Room, you know how this works. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Who you think is going to win? How do you think these games are going to pan out? Let's talk about it. Athletes Forum Podcast.